Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Infamous Universe Q&A. In this series, I take your questions about Infamous and I answer them, whether it's big, small, simple, or complicated. Today's first question comes from Omar. I'm not even going to try to pronounce last names anymore. He asks, do you think in the next game you can create your own character, like clothing, powers, age, voice, that kind of thing? Simple, very straightforward answer. No, because that is not Infamous. Infamous is not an RPG, it's not Skyrim, it's not Fallout. I do not think that creating your own character is going to be good for Infamous because it would completely change the entire formula of the game. Now, something more similar to Watch Dogs 2, where you have a set character with a set personality and a set, attitude and everything, but you can change his clothing. I think that is perfect. We should have that level of customization in Infamous. Being able to change the shirt and the pants and the shoes, that would be really cool. And if you wanted to take it a step further and make it so that you have to unlock those clothing items, whether it's through missions or through some kind of XP stuff, I don't know what you would do with it, but making the clothing unlockable somehow would be really cool. So that's as far as I want to take customization in Infamous. I don't want to go Saints Row customization or Fallout or anything like that. It just would not make the game Infamous anymore. Our next question comes from Dylan, and he says, how would you feel about an Infamous game where you play as multiple conduits completely unique from each other, and for an end game they could have online co-op missions? Hey man, that's exactly what I wanted for Second Son, except the multiple conduit thing. I think it was episode 1 of this Q&A series when I talked about the next game featuring multiple playable conduits. And I don't want that in Second Son because I was happy with Delsin's character, even though I complain about not liking him and the lack of powers that he had. I think it's best to start small. Don't overdo yourself with the first game or the second or the third, because then you won't have anything to do for future sequels. I mean, can you imagine what it would be like if you had the ability to play as multiple characters in one game, and then in the next game they went back to only having one character? Even if that one character could have multiple powers, it would kind of feel like a step backwards. So I think you should take it small and then increase what you're doing, set the bar higher each time instead of setting it too high and not being able to go past that. However, for Second Son, what I wanted was after the game, after the story, you've completed it, you and your friends could play co-op together, and depending on whose world you joined, you would be a different character. So if you're the host, you're Delsin. And if you invite someone to your world, they can choose to play as Fetch, Eugene, Hank, Augustine, or Celia, characters that of course already exist in the game. And you could go around and free roam, you could blow shit up, you could do online missions, you could have races, you could use neon or video powers and race across the city. It would just be a really, really fun time. But even if co-op wasn't a thing, which unfortunately it's not, I would have at least liked to have a feature like Spider-Man Web of Shadows or Skate 2, where you could call allies to come mess around with you. In Skate, you could call somebody to come skate with you. And they were AI characters, not other real players. In Web of Shadows, you could call allies to help you fight. I think it would have been really cool if Delsin could have pulled his phone out of his pocket and called Fetch, and they could have ran around the city and destroyed shit, or had a neon race, or I don't know, just stuff like that would have made the game so much more enjoyable to play after completing the story, and I'm disappointed that Sucker Punch didn't include something as simple as that. Alright, our next question comes from Orthopox Centurius, and he said, what if the concrete shell preserves whatever organism in some sort of stasis pod thing? So he's making a reference to my previous video where I mentioned the fact that Reggie could be alive or not. And I had a bit of a conversation with this guy. I'll show you the comments here on screen. I said I would highly doubt that. Concrete has no way to preserve an organic being like cryostasis. Sucker Punch would have to do some hardcore bullshitting to make me believe that. He then continues on to say, well, neither does electricity have the ability to magically heal people, nor does neon, video, or smoke. The game isn't based on hard science. My response, as you can tell, was fairly scientific. I said, theoretically speaking, electricity can heal people. Your heart, your whole body uses electrical signals sent by your nervous system to function, which is true. We are electrical beings. That's why the first game mentioned neuroelectricity when talking about the ray sphere. A defibrillator uses electricity to shock the heart back into rhythm. It might not be raw electricity, but it is still electricity in one form or another. So scientifically speaking, yes, Cole's electricity powers could heal people. Maybe not the exact way that it happens in the game, but it could be possible. I then went on to say that neon, smoke, video, and concrete are just gameplay mechanics. You have to be able to heal people in Infamous because it's a karmic choice. It gives you good karma. So regardless of what the power is, you need that gameplay mechanic for the game to work. And I got to thinking, and I want to thank this guy right now for challenging me and asking this question, because I never would have came up with this if he hadn't have done that, so thank you. I said that the only explanation I could come up with is that the conduit is transferring some of his or her bioelectricity into the injured human and healing them that way. And the power they're using simply acts as a channel to transport the bioelectricity. So it's not neon or concrete or smoke that is actually healing the person. Those powers carry the bioelectricity from the conduit to the human, and the bioelectricity is what is healing them. I have no other evidence to back up that claim. I know that probably sounds pretty confusing, but as of right now, I think that sounds a lot better than, let me just put some concrete on you and you're gonna be good. I think the bioelectricity thing makes a lot of sense. Our final question today comes from Jason, and pardon his grammar. He asks, what if Delsin and Reggie are Cole's kids? Oh boy, here we go again. What if Delsin got his conduit gene from Cole? What if Trish had babies and kept them a secret? Okay, I'm gonna answer this in the nicest way I possibly can without sounding like a massive jerk, but Cole and Trish did not have children. Ever. The only time that Trish ever had kids was in the original timeline with Kessler, and I know Kessler is Cole from the future, but once Cole time traveled back and became Kessler, Cole and Trish from that moment forward never had kids. Their kids were killed by the Beast in the original timeline, and in the game that we play through, they never get old enough to have children. So no, they didn't. And besides that, can you imagine carrying a baby for 9 months and having nobody notice? Nobody says anything, nobody makes a mention of Trish when she leaves for maternity, you know, because when you're a woman and you have a baby, you have to take maternity leave for the last 2 or 3 months of pregnancy. Like, that's hard to keep a secret, especially with 2 children. So that is out of the question completely. And to further solidify this proof, here are some very, very, very obvious reasons as to why they did not have kids, especially not Delsin and Reggie. Reason number 1, Delsin and Reggie are Native American, Cole and Trish are not. Reason number 2, Delsin and Reggie were born and grew up in Washington State, near Seattle. Cole and Trish lived in Empire City, which is clear across the country, basically where New York is. So I highly doubt they would have had kids before or during the events of Infamous that somehow grew up in Washington State. And reason number 3, Second Son takes place 7 years after the events of Infamous 1, so that would make Delsin and Reggie roughly 7 years old during the events of Second Son, which clearly is not the case. As for you, Jason, I don't want you to feel bad. Don't think that I am picking on you or making fun of you, because in reality, all of these questions that I point out as being incorrect or wrong is helping educate the Infamous community. It's helping me educate people who watch these videos who maybe don't know a lot about Infamous yet, or they just started playing the games. So if you ask a question and you think it's stupid, or if you ask one and I tell you that it's wrong, don't feel bad, don't get discouraged, don't get angry, because you are helping us and helping me educate the Infamous community. So I encourage everybody to ask questions on my videos, even if I point it out and laugh at it a little bit or say it's incorrect. Don't feel bad, you are helping us all out. And that does it for this episode of the Infamous Universe Q&A. That was kind of a long one this time, about 10 minutes. Anyway, thank you all so very much for watching. Remember to like this video if you enjoyed, subscribe to my channel for more content like this, share this video on social media, and leave your comments for the next episode. I'll see you all later.